Now recording. Hello everyone, my name is Peter Hall.
My name is Josh Hall.
We're the Media Maniacs because we'll review anything under the sun. Anyway, we're going to be doing some reaction videos to, we're going to be doing a reaction video to to a YouTube channel that I found a couple of days ago. It's called The Fangirl, and she's done some videos on Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and we're going to check those out and do a reaction to them. So, hope you guys enjoy it.
Are you excited?
Yes,
for Netflix
we are
Age of
excited.
Resistance?
We've seen
so,
it, haven't we, Josh?
Yeah.
We just watched the
And I
10
think
episodes.
I guess some things that might happen in that series. But first, I want to know what your favorite Jim Henson
I like
movie
Labyrinth.
is. You have McGann.
Labyrinth's
the
my favorite.
Fangirl. Make sure you subscribe and check back every week for new fandom videos. Alright guys, so in 2017 I posted a Dark Crystal theory, and many people pointed out that there's actually comics now that tell the backstory of the movie.
I haven't read those
I have
comics,
finally
I've heard
tracked
about
down
them.
those graphic novels, and I agree that Creation Myths is a really good story. But even though it's considered an official Jim Henson release, I'm not sure
Boy,
how
she's got a lot of
canon
those
it
Pixel
actually
Pal
is.
things.
The characters and concepts for the graphic novel were put together by Brian Froud, and Brian did work with Jim Henson while making the Dark Crystal, but I would feel much more confident if these comics were based on the actual notes of Jim Henson. And I mean, no offense to Froud, because he is brilliant at what he does, but Jim Henson had a one-of-a-kind imagination, and there are details in the movie that don't mesh so well with the comics. However, the real question is whether or not Age of Resistance will use the comics or go a completely different route. Henson designed the Dark Crystal to be very complicated. It's an archaic world where civilization collapsed and left ruins.
Never read the
everywhere.
comics. I should check them out
There
sometime.
are a lot of stories and plot holes that need to be filled in. And really, for lack of any other resource, Creation Myths is probably what the Netflix series will base itself around. So I'm going to cover a synopsis of the Dark Crystal Creation Myths and leave you all with my notes, basically. Although it is very interesting that they're calling the series the Age of Resistance when the Age of Harmony is the first 1,000 years when the Urskeks arrive, and the Age of Division is when the Urskeks split into two different species. So the Age of Resistance must be right before the Dark Crystal happens. Basically, the world in the Dark Crystal, the land of Thra, came about when a great fire divided into three and became the Great Sun, the Rose Sun, and the Dying Sun. And that event ultimately formed the world of Thra and the Dark Crystal. And because the world could not speak for itself, it created Agra to be its eyes.
I like how
and
the sons are described as the three brothers.
Learning everything she can and tries to help the beings of Thra, which makes her well loved across the entire planet. Agra has a son, this very strange looking creature named Ralnip, and the two of them are the only immortals on the entire planet. Well, they are until the three suns line up and 18 Urskeks appear. As the years pass, the Urskeks help the Gelflings and the Podlings develop their societies. Now, the Urskeks are immortal too, so as the generations of mortal creatures get used to the presence of these aliens, the Urskeks end up being worshipped as gods. Agra, unable to fully understand what happened when the three suns lined up, spends hundreds of years obsessively researching the cosmos. The Urskeks even build her that model of the solar system that we see in the movie, and it truly seems like the Urskeks are there for good purposes. But Ralnip doesn't like that they're interfering with Thra culture or that they're hiding the Dark Crystal away for themselves. Ralnip comes to learn that the 18 Urskeks are not peace ambassadors. They're creatures who struggled so much with darkness that their own people threw them into the light of the crystal and banished them from their home world. Despite that don't let the door hit you on the way out mentality, the 18 Urskeks believe that they're on Earth as refugees to master their good nature and learn a lesson about what they had done wrong before. And that way, in the minds of the Urskeks, when the suns realign in 1,000 years, they'll be allowed to go home. Well, that train of thought almost worked, but one of the Urskeks has a dark thought during the sun convergence, which caused all of the Urskeks to not only become stranded, but to split into two races, the Uru and the Skeksis. Actually, that's an interesting concept, because the negativity comes out when the Urskeks are turning to light for travel purposes. So they were all becoming beams of light, they were all becoming one entity, which gave the darkness the ability to spread and corrupt them all within a few brief moments. But when they split into two races, they were all young and had no idea who they were. Then, in a fit of hormonal rage or something, one of the Skeksis broke the crystal. And Aughra and Raunip spend years collecting every shard that they think might be from the Great Crystal. Unfortunately, with Aughra gone doing this quest, the Gelflings were told that the Urskeks left the Skeksis in charge. And the Gelflings believed them. It seems like blind trust was the major enemy of the Gelflings. But when a being shows up and says, the gods commanded we take over now, do you really think they're going to question it? Not until things get so bad that they have to fight back, which is probably where the Age of Resistance is going to fill in the gaps. And it appears that the Skeksis and the Uru are
Age of Resistance was awesome.
Very, very slowly. I'm not sure if that's because the Skeksis are draining other creatures of their life force to stay strong, or if they were just given a 1,000-year lifespan so that the two races could have a chance.
Yeah, that is a interesting plot hole. How like in the movie,
that I highly recommend you check out
draining the life essence doesn't like destroy the bodies of the people being drained. It just like makes them mindless slaves. But how in Age of Resistance, like they
I think they were using half power in the movie. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, but in the series, they totally evaporate into like
they're using full power.
Which seems to be causing the crystal to
in
not
the
only
movie
turn
they were using
dark
mirrors
again, but
to reflect the crystal.
Now, expanded universes
When
are really
the
difficult
scientists
to
was
deal
using
with
mirrors
because you get so many hands
to reflect the crystal to drain the
some
podwings.
old, some new, and rarely ever do they all come together to tell one perfect continuity.
It does
but
kind
at
of
least
like
you have some food for thought to
early
look into
installment
before
weirdness
rewatching the Dark Crystal
retroactively
and
though.
seeing Age of Resistance
But I think it's
this fall
because
on Netflix.
the scientist was using half power, and in the series they
Overall,
were
though, I
using
will
full
be
power.
really surprised if Age of Resistance
drain the
doesn't
Gelflings.
take from the Creation Myths comics. So I will put a link in the description below so you can find it and read them for yourself if you are so inclined and interested. Otherwise, I might be overthinking it, but that's literally my job. Well, that's all I have for now, but this video's not quite over yet. I get a lot of comments that say, do a theory on this topic, but I've already done those theories. So please consider going to my main channel page and clicking on the video tab so that way you can see everything
Josh,
I've done. You will probably find a lot of
do you ever want to
like
read
that
the
you never
Creation
knew that I
Myths?
posted. I want to let you know that I also have two other channels, Save Halo Goodbye Gaming and the Fanily Family Vlogs. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to hit subscribe and share. I can use all the help I can get to let other people know that this channel exists. And if you made it this far, leave me a comment that says something like, hey, I made it to the end. And then let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I can't make any promises, but the more people that request something, the more I can look into.
Why is Skek Maul so different
As
from
my
the
own
other
personal
Skeksis in
self,
Dark
and I have
Crystal
a
Age of
Facebook page
Resistance?
too, but I mostly just post photos of.
Okay. So here we go.
Curious why Skek Maul the Hunter is so different from the other Skeksis. Stay tuned. I'm about to go over why I believe he's so unique. But before we get started, let me know if you have a favorite Skeksis.
It's down between Skek Maul
Hello,
and
friends family
Skeksil.
members. You have McGann, and welcome to The Fangirl, a series where I pull out a lot of details to shove them together into a theory, kind of like withered bars of soap. This time around, I'm finally covering Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and if you haven't seen it yet, there are mild spoilers ahead, but since I'm only covering the one character, I really doubt it's going to ruin the entire series for you if you choose to watch this first. For those of you who have never seen any Dark Crystal stuff, let me briefly
I wonder what
recap
creature
a
skull he
Skeksis
wears
is
on his
and
head.
where
I don't
they
think
come
it's the
from.
skull of another
Basically, the Dark
Skeksis.
Crystal is
I
about this
think it
planet
is.
called Thra, who was all peaceful until these aliens showed up. Most residents of Thra were really cool with these aliens, called Urskeks, But the truth of the matter was that the Urskeks had been banished to Thra as a punishment. The Urskeks hung out for a while, kind of learned how to be better people,
so were there
and
other
then decided to try to go back
Urskeks then?
home.
Yes.
The trick, though,
And
is that they
the
had to be
18
good
that were
on the
banished
inside to go back
aren't
home.
just the
and
only
they could only travel
Urskeks?
once every 1,000 years as this combined beam of light. Well, during their attempt to travel, one of the Urskeks
I
had
actually
some
think
negative
that
thoughts going on
it
in
could have
their
been the
mind,
Emperor
and
who
bam!
corrupted
Not
everybody.
only was leaving Thra
Because
denied,
he
but the
wanted
Urskeks
to,
were all
harness the power of the
converging
Darkening
into
to
one
rule
when
the
that dark
world.
thought hit. So
Yeah,
it
but she says
tainted
the
them all
she
and
says
split
Skekmal.
Ygelion into two
That's because he was the
pieces.
most
So now
individual.
every Urskek
He was
is
like,
now one half
he was the
Uru,
wild
aka
hunter.
the
Instead of
peaceful
living in the
Mystics,
castle with
and
the other
one half Skeksis.
Skeksis,
The
he
two
was
races
roaming the
have
wild.
buggy memories, but each Skeksis
But you
is
actually think it
directly
was
tied
the
to an
Emperor?
Uru.
I think
So
it
if
could
one
have
of
been the
Uru
Emperor.
cuts their
Or the
hand,
Chamberlain.
their counterpart Skeksis will also
No,
have a cut
probably
for seemingly no
Skekmal
reason.
or
That
the
has to be kind
Emperor.
of horrifying to go around like, what happened? Why am I suddenly bleeding? Now, for the most part, the Skeksis have declared themselves a ruling class. Almost like ambition was the evil part of the Urskeks. But the Skeksis live in this micro-society where they're the top of all beings on Thra, and every one of the Skeksis' talents is put to some kind of use. There's an emperor, a scientist, a chamberlain, which is somebody who runs the emperor's household, by the way. There's a place for everyone. But then enter Skekmal, the hunter, who is the complete opposite of every other Skeksis. Where the others are shown as spoiled, pampered, high society types that don't do grunt work, Skekmal is like a predator hunting for a worthy fight. And every other Skeksis seems to be afraid of him. I'm not saying they don't have good reason to fear him, just that he is very unique in his behavior. Now, Skekmal's counterpart is Urva the Archer, which is also interesting. Urva also has these really strong hunter-like tendencies, and he doesn't seem to live with the other mystics either. And fair enough, all the Skeksis
The way
are pretty
Skekmal died
evil,
was
but
awesome.
it is more of a self-indulgence or self-preservation type of thing.
What I don't understand
The
is
hunter
how Augur
just
came back through
angry,
his
like
death.
he's been yelled at by his boss all day, and now he needs to
That
lash
Because
out
they
at someone so he
used
doesn't
her
have a heart
essence to
attack.
revive him.
Although we could argue
Right, oh,
that
And
yeah.
because
Skekbra
she's
the
the
heretic
living
is
embodiment
also
of the
out
planet,
alignment
they
for
can't kill
Skeksis'
her.
character. But that's all because Skekbra was made an
Right.
outcast after he promoted unity between
So that
Skeksis
was
and Uru.
a
So Skekbra's
Thanatos
personality
gambit
was created
that she
after he
pulled.
started questioning his role in the world.
Because she was counting
As
on
far as we know,
Urva
Skekmal
sacrificing
has
himself
no
when the
such
time was
backstory.
needed
So why is
to
it that
bring about the
Skekmal
true
is
death of
so
Skekmal.
different? Well, if I had to venture a guess, I'd say it's because Skekmal is the reason that the Urskek split in two. Remember how I mentioned the Urskek that had some bad thoughts and that's what created the Skeksis?
I think it was either him or the Emperor.
Wrong, but
You should
Skekmal seems to fit
comment
that bill.
that on
He's
the
angry,
video.
scary, violent, and an unpredictable wild card longing to dominate others and prove he's the best. Yeah, that would be the kind of mindset to ruin things for everybody else. So if Skekmal is the reason that the exiled Urskeks became two races, it stands to reason that there would be a certain level of ostracism that came with that. Since Dark Crystal creation myths very blatantly says that it was one Urskeks that soiled them all, then it's probably common knowledge which one that was. Even if the Mystics and Skeksis don't directly remember what happened, there could still be that
Splitting the
you
Urskeks
feeling,
or the
even if they don't
Urseks?
exactly know
Doesn't really
why.
matter.
So, being the major screwer-upper, Skekmal would be frequently excluded from the group, given the lowest jobs, kept at a distance, and just not treated as well as the others. Who's to say? Maybe Skekmal had some internal
That doesn't really
guilt going
jive with
on,
how
even
they
if he
treated
didn't
him in,
really
like,
understand it, which could in turn
when,
make it
in
more
the series,
difficult for
because,
him
like,
to interact with the others.
when he
So instead
when
of
he
focusing
came back and was
universe
close to
working
death, like, they
through
were all
emotions,
upset about it, and the
Skekmal
Emperor
kept more
demanded
and more
that
to
the
himself,
scientists do everything he
eventually taking on
can
hunting
to
and
rescue
tracking
him.
to try and soothe his inner rage, which never worked.
The
And
Emperor
thus,
was the one who
hunter got
initiated
worse
the
the more he
darkening
was
of the crystal.
isolated until he was like a wild
Yeah,
animal
so he
that
could have been the
only
one
got
who
called
split the
upon during the
Urskeks,
most
right?
dire of situations.
Because the
Again, I
Emperor
might
was
be
the one who
totally off the mark
initiated-
here,
was the one who
especially since the
initiated
Dark
the
Crystal
darkening
has
of the
this very
crystal.
elaborate, almost secretive storyline. But Skekmal being the Urskek that split the races really seems to fit. After all, the end of the Dark Crystal movie shows the Urskeks reforming and then traveling as beams of light with no problems. So whoever the issue was, he's not around anymore. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun. Alright, I want to address this because I know people will complain in the comments again, like they have in other videos.
Something I learned
kinda
about the
interchange
Skeksis after I watched the
Skeksis
series
and
is that the
Skeksis
ones
because
that lazed about the
original Dark
castle ended up
Crystal
fat
goes
and
back
useless in
forth
age,
between
but the ones
those
that went out and
two.
actually
Some
did some
characters
stuff
say Skeksis,
remained
some
total
say Skeksis.
badasses
You can
and
watch it
even
and see
seemed to
I'm not
barely
crazy,
age at
so I'm
all.
just kind of
If
bouncing
at all. We saw
around.
all
I
the
don't
other
feel like
Skeksis
one
could
way
barely
is right
fight
or
at the
wrong
final
because
battle
it's
in the
a
last
made-up
episode, yet
word, but the same
Skekmaw
could
could
be
run
true
right to the
for
battlefield, pick up
Skekmal or
Rian, who is a highly
Skekmal.
trained
It just
warrior,
depends on how you
and
wanna
chuck him like a
pronounce it. Honestly,
pigskin.
there are so many details
Well, the
going
general
on in
put up a
Age of
good fight until
Resistance that
Rian ran him
concentrating on
through.
how they pronounce the name is not something that went on the top of my priority list. So sorry if that bothers you so much. Also, I do want to open up the floor and ask if you have anything that you want me to explore in the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, please let me know. I feel like I've had a wave of things hit me at once and trying to sort through it and like, well, what do people care about? What is just a stupid little obscure detail that's not worth mentioning?
Put up an
I'm trying to
excellent
sort
fight until
myself
Rian
into
ran him
broader
through.
theories
Yeah.
so that more people will watch them. So again, if you have ideas, let me know. If that idea pops up enough, I will very likely
Put
cover
up-
it, at least to the best that I can as a theorist. Which, yeah, by the way, I gotta talk about this shirt because I thought this shirt was so cute. I found it at VidCon. I think it is officially part of like the
Theorist.
Game Theory merchandise.
She likes theories
but
too,
I have
Josh.
to
I find
say,
most
this is
theories
the
to be
most
stupid.
upsetting, disappointing
Especially
shirt
the
I ever
ones
bought.
that you
I thought the
tell
price
me
point was
about.
good. I thought the design was
I don't
cute.
come
liked
up with
that it
them
was these
myself.
little
But you
bits all
tell me
around
about
it.
them anyway, no matter how
When I asked for
ridiculous
women's
they
extra
are.
large, which is the size I wear, they go, oh, it runs really small. Let me get you an extra large and a 2X and you can open them and see the difference. And there was like this much difference between them, so I said, let's go ahead and go up to a 3X.
Alright. Okay, so me and Josh are going to do one last video. It's she's going to talk about how the Dark Crystal went dark. So this is, we've done 2 videos already. This is going to be our 3rd video reaction. So here you go. Start it, Josh.
Where's the video?
The Dark Crystal explained. What make the Dark Crystal dark?
1 year ago.
I made my husband sit down and watch The Dark Crystal with me, and while the aesthetics of the movie
The
have
crystal
stuck with me
darkened
since
because it was
the 80s,
cracked.
the story
The
was so
Urstex did not
strange
crack
that
the
I had
crystal.
forgotten most of the plot points. The Dark Crystal has a highly original but very convoluted story.
The Urstex did not crack the crystal. You can even see that it was done by a Skeksis in the movie without any further reading. After the Urstex divided, the Skeksis were infuriated, and during the infighting that followed, one fractured the crystal implied to be Skekso, who would soon have to become self-proclaimed emperor. They do not belong to the world of Thra. They're not gods or even natives. They're banished from Thra by their own people found in darkness. Darkness is not equivalent to our own. The darkest thing we ever witnessed of an Urskek is one, Solsol, and then all
1,000 years ago, and then 2 races appeared: the creepy evil Skeksis and the slightly less unsettling to look
Slight
at
repetition.
Mystics. The world's last Gelflame Jinn is given the task of healing the crystal, which seems to involve sticking tab A into slot B at the appropriate time.
The
But
Dark
on
Crystal was an
Jinn,
awesome
Jinn
movie,
finds out that there is
but
one other
the
Gelfling
series is
alive,
even better.
and serendipitously,
Series is faster paced, has a lot more action,
Jinn's age. Her name is Kira, and she's got a tribble
and it
pet named
totally
Jinn,
like
which is arguably the best
tells
character
us
in
like
movie.
the events leading up to the movie.
Important for this theory, but I will talk about them more in the next Dark Crystal theory. So all we know is that the crystal was broken on purpose because we're shown this hieroglyphic of a creature bashing it. Then at the end, the Skeksis and the Mystics combine to reform as the Urskiks, which are even more creepy in this aliens will destroy us all kind of way. Anyways, the Urskiks spill the beans, sort of. By
Yeah,
saying
the
that they were
Urskiks do look
arrogant
kinda
and
creepy.
delusional and broke the
They look
crystal
like
themselves,
trees.
which split them into 2 different creatures.
Don't
But
they?
There's no rhyme or reason
They look
as
like
to
trees
why
if
they
trees
would
are
break the
people.
crystal in the first place. So for Dark Crystal theory number 1, I'm gonna try to reason this out as logically as I can. Urskeks are easily the most godlike beings we see in the film. They seem to have powers and they teleport away at the end for completely undefined reasons. Maybe they had to go back to their version of the heavens. Maybe they needed to check in with their moms after 1,000 years of being missing.
Check in with their
Say for
moms.
Sure, but for argument's sake, let's call the Urskiks a race race of gods who were living off of the power of the crystal and becoming spoiled, decadent, selfish, basically hedonism bot from Futurama.
I apologize for
And their
nothing.
behavior fueled the pure crystal to become the dark crystal. If I'm failing to make sense, let me compare the crystal's energy to a kiddie pool. When you first fill the pool, it's sparkling clean and beautiful, right? And if you keep up with maintaining the pool, it will stay pretty nice. But if you stop cleaning and start using the pool when you're covered in dirt, you're going to end up with a nasty, dirty mud pit. I think the crystal has a similar system where it gives out energy but also absorbs the energy that's returned to it. So the Urskeks took the crystal's power and abused it until the crystal corrupted and turned into something evil. We can assume that's a fair assumption because at the end, the Urskeks tell Jin that his courage and sacrifice made the crystal pure again. His internal energy purified the crystal just as if someone had dumped out the kiddie pool and refilled it with clean water. So the crystal becomes whole and new again, and as long as Jin and Kira are good-hearted users / protectors of the crystal, it'll remain pure. But
You wanna watch
why did
episode The Dark
Shard
Crystal
create
again?
two different races? Well, I'm glad
The movie?
I brought that up,
The Age of
because I think
Resistance.
that's a yin-yang
Well,
type
not right now.
representation.
I wanna
If you
watch
look
it
at the
again
yin
s-
half of
real
the
soon.
symbol, the black side, there is a white dot in its core because no matter how bad something or someone is, there's good in there somewhere too. So darkness can never completely destroy the light and vice versa. So I believe that 1,000 years before the start of the Dark Crystal movie, the crystal had become extremely tainted, but not completely. There was still one small section of purity in it, and the Urskeks, in their arrogance and delusion, decided that they would become the ultimate supreme beings if they expelled the last bit of goodness from the crystal. So they hit it with a scythe and got
Skeksil is
what
the
they wanted,
Skeksis
but
responsible
the
for cracking the
Urskeks
crystal.
didn't realize
Some
how
people say that
interconnected they had become with
Skeksil,
the crystal. So
Skeksil
when they
the
broke off
Emperor, is the
shard
one
of it,
responsible.
the Urskeks
Yeah.
themselves
But this
split
guy
in
says
half.
Skeksil
part
the
that
Chamberlain.
operated off of their own self-interest and greed became the completely malicious Skeksis, and the kinder side of magic became the mystics.
He
The
makes it
final
pretty
idea I
clear that
have
he
is
never wants
that
to be
at
told
the
that this
end,
moment
the
something is
Urskeks
bad.
had to leave the world of Thra behind because they knew
I don't
the
believe
type
the
of power
Skeksis are
that the crystal held
unnecessarily
over
pure
them,
evil. They
and how
simply took all the
easily they could
Urskeks'
destroy the
passion and
world by
motivation,
drawing from its
while the
energy.
Ur got all the
instead of
wisdom and
taking
gentleness.
any
The
chances to
Skeksis
repeat
commit
their
unspeakable
mistakes,
acts of
the
cruelty on a
Urskeks
whim,
took off
but
and
the
left
Uru are so
purified
passive that
crystal
they
in the
almost
hands
allowed
of Jin
mass
and
genocide to
Kira.
occur and
I
almost
believe
shut
the idea
and almost
is that
always
their
shut out
love
anything
will
outside of
keep
their
the
valley.
crystal pure,
If anything,
whereas
I'd
the
love for those
Urskeks
little
were
dots in the
all
yin and
male,
yang to
and
explore
thereby
in
had
both of
nothing
them.
but power
See a
to strive for
Skeksis
in their
act
lives.
kindly but
So they had to
impulsively,
leave
and see
because
more of the
they
cruelty
could not
being too
trust
passive in the
themselves to
Uru.
stay around
That
the
was
crystal
the
again.
that was
Yeah,
Skekra
might
the
be
heretic.
it, but
Yeah.
He was
literally
See,
my
a Skeksis
job.
act kindly but impulsively.
That was
Impulsive.
Skekra the heretic.
Impulsive.
And that was also the mystic that he lived with.
Yeah.
So please consider
The
going to my
mystic
main
that he
channel
lived with, what was
and
his name?
clicking on
He
the
acted
video tab
impulsively,
so
but
that
he
way
was
you
much
can see
slower.
everything I've
It
done.
was funny
You'll probably
listening
find a lot of things
to.
you like that you
Get it out!
never
Come on!
did.
Weren't they both impulsive?
Say hello, goodbye, Gabe, and
The
thank you
Wanderer,
again
I forget his
all.
name, but the Wanderer
Thank you so
just
much for watching,
said
and
weird
I hope you
phrases.
enjoyed enough to hit
Like,
subscribe
The
and
Wanderer
share.
was
I can
impulsive.
use
He
all
just
the
did
help I can
everything
get
more
to let
slowly
other
than the
people
mystic,
know that this
than the
channel
heretic did,
exists.
right?
And
Yeah,
if you
he
made this
said,
far,
like,
leave me a
phrases that
comment that says something
didn't make any
like,
sense,
"Hey, I
like-
ate it
Treebeard.
again,"
He was
and then let me
basically
know what kind
Treebeard.
of videos you want to see in the future.
Yeah.
I can't